And the Speaker of the New York State Assembly, Cara Hasty, who has been a great partner of mine as well. Let's give him a round of applause. You know, as I mentioned at the outset, New Yorkers are facing really serious financial pressures, and all I can do is look at the cost of the bills, right? The cost of groceries have gone up 23% in the last 5 years. Who doesn't have to buy groceries, right? Every family needs to buy groceries every single week. Housing prices, if you're trying to buy a house, have gone up 17% at the same time. Childcare has gone up 20%. And I think it's not a newsflash that wages have not kept up with that, right? So the strain on working families is too much, and we're losing some families who are going elsewhere where they don't have the same challenges. And that actually threatens New York State's long-term viability. And that's why, since becoming governor, making New York State more affordable has been one of my top priorities. And as I said, I have great partners who have the same feeling of who we're fighting for and what we must do. We fought to raise the minimum wage, and for the first time in history, tie it to inflation. Now that was back when inflation wasn't even a big factor. Leaders, aren't we glad we did that for New Yorkers? We tied the cost of minimum wage to inflation. We doubled tuition assistance together. We held the line on income taxes. We negotiated a historic deal to build more affordable housing because nothing was being built, driving up the prices everywhere. We also are protecting our renters. And we talk about child care. Together, we secured a $7 billion investment to overhaul our state's child care system and making child care more affordable. And just a couple weeks ago, we announced a new digital portal to make free and low-cost child care available for eligible families online. So get this, and I hope you all heard this last week. For a family earning up to $108,000, a family of four earning up to $108,000, their child care expenses will not cost more than $15 a week. The average cost is $350. That's real money back in New Yorkers' pockets, and I'm really proud of that as well. As I said, it doesn't happen without the partnership of the state legislature, but we know our work is far from over. So we have to figure out ways we're constantly seeking ways to ease the burden on New Yorkers. And there's a lot of talk about, it used to be the 3 men in the room, remember, during budget negotiations. Now you have the 2 women and the man. And we're all parents, and we talk about intensely how we can put more money back in the pockets of New Yorkers. And today we're going to announce one of the many ways we've done just that. And so I'm announcing we're delivering $350 million in direct financial assistance to low and moderate income families statewide through the Child Tax Credit Program. $350 million, meaning 1 million New York families with children will be receiving a check in the mail by the end of August. Now, depending on your income and the size of the family, it'll determine the amount. Some families will receive up to $330 per child. You have 3 children, that's $1,000 in your family, doubling the amount of assistance that they've received in the past. And can you imagine the timing of that? Right while you're out there doing that last-minute school shopping. That's why we wanted to do this for New Yorkers. And the best part is, New Yorkers don't have to do anything to receive this payment. No forms, no phone calls, no hoops to jump through. It's just going to come to them. So, as I mentioned, back to school in September. Those costs add up a lot. What do I know about this? I checked. A backpack today costs around $30, $40. Some kids want the fancier ones. Some of the lower-end sneakers cost about $45. They go way up from there. Some kids need uniforms, a lunchbox, notebooks, and pens. I'm having PTSD from buying all this. I used to go in that shopping cart and just pile it all in, and it just seemed unending. And with this check, this is how parents will be able to cover the cost of back-to-school supplies and even some clothes in there, and that's why I'm so proud of this. And no other governor and no other state legislature in the history of this great state has distributed this much direct financial assistance to the degree we have to families in New York. In the last 2 years alone, we provided over $2.6 billion in financial relief for families and help homeowners with their bills. What we've done, we help homeowners with their property tax bills. We had additional assistance from the Earned Income Tax Credit recipients, and we even saved gas, the cost of buying gas at the pump for New Yorkers during the pandemic. So this all comes back to our collective commitment to support New York's working families. And this child tax credit program is a vital program offering support to families with kids, and I know this is going to make a real difference. This is part of the cornerstone of our collective efforts to help families navigate the cost of living in New York. We're going to continue finding ways to drive the cost down, and I will also say this. What I realized when I became governor, this tax credit was only available for families with kids age 4 and up. Any parents in this room? Yeah, I thought so. They're kind of expensive as newborns, aren't they? Right? I mean, they outgrow everything in 3 months. I mean, the clothes say 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, because your babies are growing. And then they want to buy little sneakers, and they don't stay in those very long. And then all of a sudden, the cost of formula. My gosh, formulas and diapers. I told my husband, as soon as our kids are out of formula and diapers, we're going to be rich again. I mean, it was that much of a strain on us. I'd run out to BJ's, just fill up the shopping cart with everything I could buy as cheaply as I could. So we said, no. We're going to make that tax credit available from birth on upward and not just the age of 4. So that's a huge change. So we did that last year. So that means over 600,000 more children are covered with this, from infants all the way on up to high school, and that's one more way we're just making life a little bit easier. But I know I threw a lot of numbers at you, but I wanted you to hear from a real person in a couple minutes. Not that we're all real people. A person who's living through this right now. A young woman, Lisa Chin, a mom from Westchester, Mount Vernon, who's going to tell her story in a few moments about what it's like with a 2.5-year-old daughter and a 2-month-old son. I think she came up here just to get a little break in the action. So let her, Lisa, you can stay as long as you want here. And this year, since we expanded the eligibility, her family received the tax credit for the very first time. And she's balancing life as a full-time mom, pursuing her own dreams, and she's finishing up her bachelor's degree at FIT, and she's one of the recipients of our tuition assistance program. So with the state support, she's just an example of the people that we care about, why we do what we do, and how we're helping not just her future, but her children's future as well. So it's not just making life livable in New York, it's also making it affordable for every single family. And we won't stop fighting. There's always ways that we can work together to alleviate that burden. And it would not have been possible, as I mentioned, without incredible partners in our state legislature. And I want to bring up someone who's been a real champion for families all over our state, and that is my friend, Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins.
Thank you so much, Governor Hochul. Talking about PTSD, I think I was experiencing it when you were describing all that we as parents go through. And it is wonderful to have partners who understand what people have to do in order to make sure the quality of life for their kids is actually what the promise of America is. So it is really wonderful to have Governor Hochul and Speaker Hasty sitting at this table with all of our conferences. Nobody disagrees that we have to emphasize affordability. Nobody disagrees that the cost of raising a family can be very, very difficult. And nobody disagrees that we as government have to find a way to alleviate that burden. When I was first starting out, a new parent, I was a young parent, I know my first advocacy was down at City Hall in New York City, begging them not to kick my child out of daycare because I made $7,000 a year. They told me that I made far too much to have subsidy. And unless I paid $100 a week, my child could not go. Fortunately, my mother was able to fill that void. But that many years ago, in the 70s, we've been fighting for childcare, for affordable childcare, for experiences for our children in childcare that will prepare them for going to school and really doing well. What we do every day is govern. What we do every day is govern with the idea of how people need to live their lives and afford their lives in a place like New York, where if we do it right, we set the standard and we present a goal for the rest of the nation. And while we're having this national conversation about children, childcare, and governing, I look at New York and I'm proud to sit in the table with the governor, with the speaker, representing our conferences, with the ideal of presenting a better way for our kids. This has been an incredible milestone, and again, we are all very, very happy that $350 million will go to people. You don't have to do anything, you just sit there and the check will come to you. And yes, until last year, we weren't even talking about anyone under 4, but as the grandparent of 6 grandkids, 3 of them are, well, one just turned 6, but the other 2 or 3, I know that my daughter and her husband will be thrilled when the check is in the mail, because everything the governor said about how to prepare for the next school season is a reality in my family and so many others. So again, thank you, and it's my pleasure to introduce my buddy. He's been my wonder twin. We have all kinds of names for each other, all very, very affectionate. Speaker of the Assembly, Carl Hasty.
Well, first, let me apologize for not being as well-dressed as the governor and the majority leader. This is my touring outfit, so I'm headed to Utica in Rome to look at some of the devastation that happened out in Rome. So this is my touring outfit. This is a great day. By no means have we solved all of the affordability problems, but since the time I became speaker, we always said we wanted to have a families first agenda, and this is one of the examples of what we're trying to do, particularly during these tough times of inflation. Just give people a little more, just try to be a little more helpful to people. And since the governor and the majority leader gave their parental stories, I guess I'll give mine. You know, my beautiful daughter Taylor, who's 15 now, and she's gonna be touring me. She's half happy about going with me. But I remember when she was young, Taylor had to have the super extra sensitive formula. And I remember those cans, they were about this big and they were about $40, you know, for the can. But I was a member of the assembly then, so it was a little easier for me. But I could just imagine how, you know, another family that had to deal with buying the extra sensitive formula, how much that would have squeezed, you know, their budgets. I think for us, whether it's this, whether it's TAP, it's just, you know, the governor, majority leader, and all of our members of the legislature just trying to say to the people of the state of New York, we hear you, and we're trying to do something to make your lives a little better, a little easier, you know, during these difficult times. And this is, you know, this is real, you know, real money to try to help. And as the governor says, the timing of this right before school starts will be a little helpful. Just like I said, just an acknowledgement to the people of the state of New York that we hear you, and we're going to continue to try to do better. So thank you, everyone. Am I introducing? Okay. I didn't pay attention to the script. But let me introduce Lisa Chin, who's a neighbor, even though I represent the Bronx, but my house is about 2 blocks from Mount Vernon. I'm on the very northern part. To tell the story of what it's like to be a parent in dealing with today's issues. So, Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Chin, and I'm a mother of 2 young children living in Mount Vernon with my partner. I have a 2-year-old daughter named Tiana and a 2-month-old named Benjamin. The cost of living can definitely be tough, especially when you're raising young children. I often face unexpected challenges when I'm trying to make sure that I'm giving my kids the care and support they need, while I also complete a bachelor's degree in Midtown Manhattan at FIT. So for many moms like myself, any little additional support makes a difference. That's why I'm grateful for the use of the Empire State Child Credit. It does put a little more money back in my pockets. I would like to thank Governor Hochul and the state legislature for the credit that was expanded this last year to cover children under 4, and that made me eligible. It was really helpful to get the credit when I filed my tax return, and I'm excited to also receive the supplemental payment coming soon. And in addition to that, I do get support through the state tuition assistance program to pay for school. And I'm also grateful for additional support I received from a nonprofit called the Bridge Project that provided me with additional financial assistance after having my first child. I've also used resources from the state to apply for SSI benefits because my 2.5-year-old daughter, she has a genetic disorder as well. So, like I said, any additional support does count. It makes a difference, and it's making a difference for me. It's helped me stay focused on caring for my kids while also taking care of myself and pursuing my career goals. I didn't have to make any tough choices trying to choose between the two. So I want to say thank you to Governor Hochul for everything you're doing to support parents and families here in New York like me. And thank you to Majority Leader Ms. Stewart Cousins and Speaker Heastie and the state legislature for all the work that you've put into this. Thank you, and all of the work you're doing is helping me to create a brighter future for my kids. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for coming and listening today.
Thank you, distinguished guests. That concludes our program. Hey, distinguished guests, we appreciate you joining us today. We have to flip the room over for I'm so sorry, guys. Check 1 2 1 2.